Hey, today I want to talk a little bit about field trip health. Um, as I've said on previous videos, this is not financial advice. This can be considered informational entertainment, infotainment, but it's definitely not financial advice. And you definitely shouldn't be taking advice from someone online. But I'm really into field trip health stock now, and I it's beginning to form a foundational pillar of um, my new kind of psychedelic oriented portfolio. So, in the past, I was kind of all in on Tesla, and I was approaching Tesla just all the way. I fully believed in Tesla back when it was $100 billion market cap, back when it was a $50 billion market cap, even back when it was under 50, well under $50 billion in market cap. Now it's close to a trillion. It passed a trillion at some point. So it's a big company now. There are very few companies in the US that are bigger than Tesla. So although I still love Tesla, although I still love their products, and I think they're just an amazing business to own. They're gonna grow a lot. I understand that now that they're enormous, it's a different type of investment. It's becoming a different type of investment, and I can't pretend that they're gonna I can't pretend that a 10x to, like, let's say from 1 trillion to 10 trillion is going to happen in the next 4 or 5 years. It's just unlikely that that's going to happen when you have companies that are way bigger than Tesla at like 3 trillion market cap. So you don't even have a 5 trillion market cap US firm. So why do you think Tesla's going to be double that amount within the next few years? It'll take some time. It'll take some time, or it'll take some serious inflation. So it's not that simple. Now, there are other easy plays out there. From my perspective, again, infotainment, not financial advice. These are risky, incredibly risky things. But there are other seemingly potentially easy plays for me. It seems like, why am I going to go in on Tesla now when there seem to be just these undervalued, low hanging companies in the psychedelic sector, where I think in the next 10 years, I think that those companies will probably um, they will probably 10x. So you're gonna have companies that are gonna obviously go bust. You're gonna have companies that simply don't make it, right, in that sector. Companies that we may invest in and that don't make it. But I think as a sector overall, I'm incredibly bullish on the sector, just stunningly bullish on it, based on my own experiences with psychedelics, based on my understanding of the mental health industry, based on my understanding of the research that's going on right now, um, at a bunch of companies: MindMed, Field Trip, Atai, GH Research, Compass. Now these are not picks, and they're not recommendations, but these these stocks seem to be forming a kind of the new generation of mental health. And based on what I know, my own experiences kind of outside of finance, I see how these medicines that these companies are trying to get into, how these medicines are profound. I see that. And so it makes me incredibly bullish. I think that, psilocybin um, and other psychedelics, even some potentially synthetic psychedelics, I think that these drugs are going to make SSRIs and the current suite of mental health drugs look ancient in a few decades. And in a century, it'll just be unbelievable. People won't be able to believe that when we had emotional problems and problems inside us and anxiety and just all the stuff that happened to people, that we decided to take serotonin, reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, SSRIs. So what is the other S? I guess the other S is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. So that's kind of the Big Mac of mental health drugs now, right? SSRIs. They're going to be non-existent in 50 years. Just not a single one, non-existent. In 100 years, and maybe malpractice to to even think of prescribing such a drug. Maybe they won't even be allowed or produced. So it's going to be a complete overhaul of mental health. And at the forefront of this overhaul are a bunch of companies that are now public companies, publicly traded firms that any of us could buy. Now, with that, buying those firms, with that approach, there's going to be an incredible amount of risk, just a stunning amount of risk, of course, from regulatory risk, political risk. Look at what happened in the 60s and 70s. What if that happens again? Right now, things are moving in the right direction. Everyone's mindset is kind of moving in the right direction in terms of these medicines. But what if we go back to being like closed-minded and we don't want to use these medicines. We don't want to know anything about these medicines. What if we move to that state again? That's a big risk. And then there are more idiosyncratic risks, right? Risks that are particular to a company. Maybe the whole industry is going to do great, but a particular company is not run well, doesn't have a sound molecule that they're getting approved, or that just their business model isn't sound, their business approach isn't sound, or they just have bad luck. Just bad luck. There's so many things that could go wrong with investing. So there's a ton of risk. That risk obviously is going to decrease as these firms move towards getting actual approval. But in my opinion, the biggest opportunity lies in the early stages for those of us who kind of have an idea of the immense power of these drugs and want to be involved, want to get their capital involved, don't want to be, are not okay sitting on the sidelines, don't want to be kind of just watching and observing. They want to be right in there. They want to own the firms that they can own. Even small timers like us, even small timers like me, where I can't start a firm yet. I can't do major plays, but I could just buy public stocks at what seem to be insane discounts. Like some of these firms are trading at, I mean, most of these are under a billion, and some of these are under 500 million. Some of these are like in the $100 million range, with some under 100 million in market cap. In today's world, with inflation, what it is, 100 million is nothing. It's pocket change. So when you have $100 million market cap for some of these firms, I mean, it's astounding to me, the level of kind of apathy the market has towards these things. That apathy will slowly begin to decline as we get closer to FDA approval and as actual FDA approval happens. So, and one of these companies is Field Trip Health. Now, Field Trip Health is a company I really, really like. And in all my investing, I invest morally as well. In all my investing, period, and especially in psychedelic investing. I won't hold companies that I know are explicitly doing things against my moral beliefs. So a tobacco company, they're not like, I mean, they're not Hitler, right? A tobacco company, but I don't want to hold a tobacco company. I don't want to profit off that. I don't want to own that. There's other good things to own, and I just don't want to put my money in that. I think that you have to invest with your morals. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna separate that aspect out." That's not what an integrated person does. That's not what a person with integrity does. They have to take the whole picture into account. And so, in taking the whole picture into account, psychedelics are obviously. I don't even know why I said that. Psychedelics are obviously in line with kind of my moral approach. But what I like about Field Trip Health particularly is that they're already in business, and they're already providing sort of mental health services to people. Now, they're only providing ketamine trips. So you can go pay some money in the US, some places in Europe. I think only US and Europe right now, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and they're in different places like San Diego, Los Angeles, I think New York, Houston, I think maybe in Canada somewhere, some in Europe and Amsterdam. So there's like about 10 locations now, and you can go in, you can pay some money, a hefty amount of money, and you get a ketamine trip. Ketamine is a psychedelic, but it's kind of, out of all the psychedelics, like I would, ketamine. It's not. I don't know. A lot of people don't consider it a real psychedelic, right? It's not the same thing as psilocybin or LSD or ayahuasca or 5-MeO DMT. It's not like that. Not like that at all. It's different. But that's the only thing that is legal now. That's the only thing that they're allowed to dispense now. And so this mental health clinic provides ketamine trips basically, and then they provide post trip what is called I think the term that they're using now is uh, what's that term? The let me think. Um, Integration. That's what they do. Integration therapy. So integrating the experience into your kind of your normal existence, your daily life. So they provide integration therapy after the ketamine experience. So they're doing that now. They have nice offices now. People are paying them money now. For as an investor, I like that idea. As an investor, I like the concept of expanding, having 100 offices maybe, and then waiting, obviously, being as fast as you can in terms of getting the drug set up, but patiently waiting for the drug to be set up, the drug to be approved, but still having the 100 offices in place. And then once the drug is approved, boom, all the 100 offices get the drug. You already have the 100 offices. You already have the customer list of people who were interested in doing it. You already have the customer list of people who actually paid for the ketamine trip. A bunch of the customer list is going to be people who haven't paid because they're not interested in ketamine. They want the real deal in terms of psychedelics. They're waiting for the psilocybin or the LSD or that type of drug. Those people you can contact, you can email them, say, hey, we're ready now. The drug's approved, come in our office. And you basically, you have that infrastructure set up. You have that brand set up. You have that kind of mind share set up, right? It's a cool thing. It's a cool name. It's a cool company. It's a cool site. But the first mover does have an advantage with that, and Field Trip Health seems like they're the first mover. Then on top of that, they seem to be doing some kind of AI, some kind of tech stuff where they're doing what's called the Trip app, where they're trying to help you. Um, it seems like a multifaceted suite of things that they're trying to do with this app, which is very interesting to me. I think they're trying to help with dosing. I think they're trying to help with pre-trip um, kind of mindset and approach setting. Basically, your setting, helping with the mindset portion of that. Obviously, the setting they can't do, but the mindset they can help with that app. And then logging data. So as you're tripping out, maybe not always useful, but maybe you can input data into the app, and that data can be used to help you in the future and potentially anonymized, and that could be used by Field Trip to for their own stuff. What kind of useful data is that going to be, right? If you have 100,000 people tripping on psilocybin and providing data that never existed before, that's going to be something novel, something new. So Field Trip has a couple of interesting things that I think set it apart from the other psychedelic stocks. Now, by set it apart, I mean set it apart in the sense that they're different, not in the sense that they're better, right? I don't think Field Trip is the best psychedelic play. I don't think Field Trip should be your only psychedelic play. And if you're deeply going into the psychedelic space, like I am, I definitely don't think Field Trip should be your only one. And if you can only pick one or two, Field Trip may not even make it on that one or two. I think there are better firms than Field Trip. Something like maybe a Thai, probably. A Thai is number one, just because it has all of the cool SF people backing it, including Peter Thiel. So I think that's important. I think those things are important. I think first mover is important. I think big names are important. I think good backing is important. So, but Field Trip is interesting to me. It's an interesting play, and I think I'm going to continue researching the company. I think I'm going to continue learning about the company, and I also think I'm going to continue investing in the company because I think it's going to be a very important pillar of kind of this new portfolio I'm building for 2030, 2040, 2050. This next portfolio that I'm building out for myself and my family. Um, Now, again, not financial advice, but I'm curious as to what you think. Well, what do you think about Field Trip? Do you think my kind of approach, my thinking is too basic? How basic can a guy be, right? Just because they have some offices, you're investing in it? Is that the case? If that's the case, I want to hear from you. Give me a comment below. And I also want to hear your favorite psychedelic stocks. Tell me your favorite psychedelic stocks in the comments below. Apparently they're important, and apparently they help with the YouTube algorithm. So that'll be nice of you. Comment.